What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in the Khaliis Take. You know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell just so you can get the newest and the bonus content first. But hey, let's just go ahead and jump right in. The Clippers definitely need to make some roster moves this offseason. Just in regards to team option, on the contracts of certain players. And, certain things they need to do with their roster to, keep everything intact for them to, keep the team they have and, keep this team together so they can make that, run for the championship. Because really, bringing in too much, or if you're bringing in a different culture of players, a wave of new players, it changes the culture of a team and their psyche and just how they are on the floor and how the chemistry is too. It's like you're trying to rebuild all over again. So they need to definitely, at least, 2 roster moves need to be made this offseason, at least 2 in regards to the team. And speaking of that, one of the roster moves I think that need to be made is to pick up Zubac's option and keep him and extend him. And I said that before, I like Zubac, I like his upside, but I've also been critical of Zubac as well. I definitely think Zubac can play a lot better, but he did have career highs, actually. 10 points, 8 rebounds, averaging 1 block a game. This past season was career highs for him. Now, I will say this, as I said before, I'm going to need more out of Zubac than that. I'm going to need at least 14 and 12 a game. I mean, that's just the way it's got to be. It doesn't need to be looked at any other way. 14 and 12, 15 and 13. That's where Zubac needs to be. If he wants to really stay in this league and, get an extension and, not only stay in the league, but be a big man in the league with a presence. You know what I'm saying? You got to at least average a double-double. Zubac has, been in the NBA for, several years now, I think since 2015 or 16. And he's definitely been in it long enough to, kind of figure out his stride a little bit. And I feel like, even though last year's numbers were career highs for him, I feel like he needs to up that a little bit more. He needs to be averaging a double-double. Regardless of what anybody says, that's what he needs to be averaging. And I guarantee if Zubac averages a double-double, a lot of Clippers fans will jump off his back because they'll see the progression and they'll see the the intensity that he brings to the game, and they'll see his aggression, They'll see him be aggressive going out there a little bit more. And that's what they need on Zubac. They need a little bit more aggressiveness in his game, because there's times where you look at him like this past season and seasons before where you saw him put up pretty much of a masterpiece of a game. Like this past season, he had a couple of games, one game specifically where he scored 32 points, had double-digit rebounds, 2 blocks in that game. See, that's a masterpiece game for him. And I'm not saying he has to have a lot of those, of course, but he definitely needs to have games where he puts his footprint, he puts his foot down on the other team's neck in the paint and let them know it's his time, it's his presence. He's the one that's going to dominate in the paint, whether it's scoring or whether it's just him getting extra offensive rebounds, getting more rebounds for the Clippers, being more physical down there. Right. He just needs to have more of that type of presence. And I feel like he definitely can. And a lot of people believe that he can. When he was on the Lakers, they thought the same thing of him. They saw a lot of his skill, his talent. He's good at, being finesse around the basket, being crafty around the basket a little bit, good hands, all those type things. But it has to develop into more dominance. And more dominance for him would at least be him getting a double-double every single game. And there's no reason why he shouldn't, because he's definitely talented enough to do so. But I definitely believe in Zubac. The Clippers culture really needs him to me, because he's a big part of their culture going forward. And he's one of those role players that can play a crucial role for them, because he's got a good feathery touch around the rim and things like that. They just got to maybe, push him a little bit more to get in the weight room, get a little bit stronger, grab more boards. Between him and Hartenstein, they can be pests for teams. Really, they can, because like I said, one could score a little bit better. Hartenstein does all the dirty work. And like I said, one could be a little bit more, dominant in his approach in games, which is Zubac, and he definitely has a talent. He has a talent to take his game to another level. So I personally think, the Clippers should definitely, keep his team option and extend him going forward, because he definitely, could be the future, of the Clippers, going forward as well. And then with Zubac being owed like $7.5 million on his next year option or contract there, well, if you think about it, the Clippers are like, I think it's $170.9 million in committed money, which means they have a lot of money, or they have a decent amount on the back end. So that $7.5 million that they owe Zubac going into next season, well, that's just, that's little money for the Clippers. If you think about it, with all the committal money that they have, his contract really isn't that big. You know what I'm saying? It's very, very minimal compared to a lot of contracts in the NBA of players who might not even be as good as Zubac, have bigger contracts in the NBA. So it's like, to me, they should just go ahead and extend him because, like I said, he's a big part of your culture. And like I said, he's one of those role players that will serve value for the Clippers. I mean, because one thing you've always noticed, ever since Kawhi Leonard been on the Clippers, Zubac plays better with Kawhi Leonard. And it's really weird to say that, but their pick and roll that they have is really good. I mean, because Kawhi is so good with the mid-range. When Zubac comes off the screen, I mean, it's an easy roll to the basket. It's an easy 2 points for him every single time if he chooses to. I mean, last year, or the year before last, I should say, that they play that role a lot between him and Zoo. They just have a connection on the court that's very, very, not noticeable, but they do. And like I said, somebody like Kawhi can get Zubac more easy points and get Zubac motivated on the offensive end. That'll allow him to play better on the defensive end. When you reward a big man scoring wise, he goes on the defensive end and rewards you by making a good defensive play. That's the way it's always been in the NBA. The big man got to eat. If he eats, then he'll go on the other side and make sure, he plays a role on the defensive end as well. And that's what they need out of Zubac. And I think they can get that. I like Zubac. I really do. And I know a lot of you fans probably, don't like him or something like that, or don't, wouldn't mind seeing him traded. I definitely understand that, because I definitely agree that he could have developed a lot better, by now, a little bit more physical by now. He should at least be a double-double machine by now. I definitely agree with you on that. But I guess because I like Zubac and I still see a lot of his upside and I still see a lot of, good with him, I can definitely see the Clippers extending him, past next season, especially if he picks his game up a little bit more. And if he goes out this year coming up and average a double-double, well, there's no doubt they'll keep him going forward, because they'll see the development, the value, and what he's really trying to accomplish is being a better player for the team. And, that's exactly what they want to see. Now, another player I think that they should definitely, find a way to re-sign. This is very underrated, player on the Clippers. I definitely would like to see them re-sign Amir Coffey. And the reason why I say that, the guy started 30 games last year. He played 69 games, I think, last year altogether with the Clippers. And like I said, starting 30, he averaged like 9 points and 2 rebounds. But I mean, his points really came at valuable times during games. I mean, he had a few games there where he had a stretch of a couple, I think 20 or 30 point games this past season with the Clippers. And I feel like his points came at the right time, and they were very needed for the Clippers, because there were times in certain games where you remember when they were down, those games where they made those huge comebacks, like those 3-4 games out of the season where they made the biggest comebacks like in NBA history. They were down 25 against the Nuggets. They were down 35 against the Wizards. They were down 25 plus points, I think, against the Nets. Came back and beat them. It's like they've been down in so many games. Or I ain't gonna say so many. They were down in a few games, and I feel like Amir Coffey, a couple of those games that I remember, he was hitting some crucial threes to make them come back and win, hitting some big shots, making some good defensive plays, to spark their comebacks. And even though he wasn't like maybe the leading scorer of all those games, Luke Kennard definitely had a big hand in it too. Actually, all the Clippers did, but those were one of the notable points that they had in those games where they actually made a comeback and win. Amir Coffey made some big shots. He took a lot of big shots, made a lot of big shots, sparked a lot of runs for the Clippers. They'd be, the other team going an 8-0 run. Amir Coffey will start a 6-0 run by himself and knock down 2 big threes, back to back in certain games where, it'll get their momentum going. And plus, like I said, he's a two-way kind of play. He's almost like a combo guard in a way, because like I said, he can pass the ball pretty good underratedly. And like I said, he can actually score pretty good too. So we saw that in those games that he had this year. And I really like what Amir Coffey brought to the Clippers. He brought a different edge to the Clippers in regards to having somebody somebody that can come off the bench and light it up at any point in time, because he definitely can do that. And he's not afraid of the moment. That's the one thing I feel like I like about Amir Coffey the most. When he was inserted in the starting lineup, he did not flinch one time. He went in there with supreme confidence, took the shots when they were given to him, didn't take any bad shots. He took wide open shots. He took high quality shots. And see, that's a player that's building his basketball IQ. And this is the reason why I say it. Players like Amir Coffey, he goes unnoticed on a lot of people's radar, but at the same time, for the Clippers, he's definitely a underrated, valuable piece, because like I said, there's times where the starters, if you look at a lot of basketball, you'll know this. There's times where when you watch an NBA game, the starters, they just don't have it. They come out flat. They're not shooting well. They're shooting poor. They're turning the ball over. And then there's times where the coach just goes out there and say, hey, he pulls them and puts in all the reserves. And that's when you see what type of reserves you have. And that's what the Clippers have done, and other teams, other NBA teams have done that. And this is what I'm saying. Amir Coffey is one of those type players where you could put him in and he can definitely spark a team to come back. He can definitely spark a comeback, if they're down or anything like that, and come in there and hit big shots. Because like I said, he started 30 games this past season. He's already comfortable with doing that, stepping in whatever role they give him. And like I said, with him being able to shoot the ball pretty good and being able to take people off the dribble, that makes him another weapon for the Clippers, a weapon that will go unnoticed to a lot of teams, where he might go in there and give them supreme good minutes and very minimal minutes that he might get. Because with Kawhi and PG coming back, he might get about 6 to 8 minutes a game, give or take, if they decide to keep him. But his 6 to 8 minutes, he might average about 4 or 5 points within that 6 minutes, because like I said, he can score. He can score. I mean, he's got a good scoring ability. And like I said, he can take people off the dribble. And like I said, I like his basketball IQ. And this is what I'm saying. When you're trying to win championships, you need young guys, you need veterans on the team to all have that basketball IQ, or the young guys need to be developing it and the veterans need to already have it. And like I said, he's one of those players to me that has a good basketball IQ, a good feel for the game. I don't care what position you put him in, he'll find a way to thrive and excel. And I think Ty Lue sees that about him and really likes that about his game. And I think Ty Lue definitely wants to keep him as well, because he's definitely showed some value last year when Kawhi and PG was out. So, and that's the thing with the Clippers, they have so many players that wouldn't have probably ever played or gotten that type of opportunity without Kawhi Leonard and PG being there. But it was a blessing in disguise that it was, because it showed what type of depth they have all the way around. This team is widely, they have a huge depth all the way around. I mean, Brandon Boston Jr. is a good young player. Amir Coffey is, like I said, of course, Terrence Mann, Luke Kennard. I mean, they got some players that really, like I said, they really make this culture really run really well, and they all play with the same level of intensity. Next man up mentality. Go out there and, ball out as much as you can, show out as much as you can and allow the game to come to you. And that's what Ty Lue is teaching these guys. Allow the game to come to you and play within your means. You ain't got to go out there and be the hero every time. But when it comes time for you to knock down big shots, I expect that out of you. I expect you to knock down that shot because I know you can. And that's the type of encouragement Ty Lue is giving these guys, because these guys are really feeding off that type of energy. And the fact that they had a lot of practice without Kawhi and PG standing in their way last year, their experience is better now. They got more experience to be in the starting lineup, to go out there and, perform if your number is called. And that's really huge when you're trying to win a championship, because now everybody on the roster just about has experience of going out there and playing in big, meaningful games like Amir Coffey and be valuable, score 20, 30 plus points and help the Clippers win and keep their playoff hopes alive the way Amir Coffey and some of the other younger players were doing this past season with the Clippers. It gives them that confidence. So it's like when they get into the playoffs or something like that, really, they're just going to go out there with the confidence that they already had, because they got the experience. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like that's big. That's why I definitely want them to re-sign Amir Coffey. I think he's one of those underrated X factor type guys or something like that with a high basketball IQ that they can depend on to go out there and give them, productive minutes whenever they decide to put him on the floor, no matter what position they put him in or whatever they need him to do. I feel like he could find a way to do it. And I definitely like what I saw out of him this past season. I hope they definitely keep him. And hopefully the Clippers definitely keep all their players, for the most part, because like I said, this is probably one of their last runs at a championship. So, I like to see them pretty much keep all of them so they can all enjoy the reward of, winning a championship if that's what comes out this upcoming season, which I believe it definitely can. So, like I said, just a few players there I want to name in regards to that. Of course, I would say, Terrence Mann, his team options coming up as well. Definitely try to find a way to re-sign him also. He had some good production this year in regards to, playing in the minutes that he had. And like I said, the Clippers don't have a whole lot of money, but they got enough, and plus they got Steve Ballmer. He's got billions of dollars. So in actuality, they got plenty of money if you ask me. So, but they definitely can find a way to keep all their players. And hopefully they do, because this core can really do something special. And we all want to see if they can actually complete the journey. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully that happens. And hopefully they keep all their players for the most part, as I said. And, we see what next season brings for them. But hey, that's my take on everything. Leave any comments in the comment section. Check out my other videos if you haven't. And hey, Khaliis out.